like, yeah, you can have a moment, and I've seen it countless times just scrolling on the internet.
For
There's a
sure.
viral moment, and it's just that. It's
Yeah.
here today and gone within a week. Ian specifically, and I can't speak for every white person, like, that's really what he grew up listening to. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I
He's
remember when artists would break, and you knew they had at least at least a 3-year window
yeah.
of relevancy. It feels like now an artist is here today, gone next week.
Yeah.
If you find yourself doing the same thing as everybody else, it's just going to make it that much harder to cut through. And that's the ultimate goal, is to cut through.
Welcome to the SoundCentric podcast. I am your host, Adam Dash. And today, I don't want to hype it up too much, but this might be one of the most excited I've ever been to do an episode. And we're with a man who is a Morehouse grad, 5 years in A&R at Streamcut Media, a content project manager for Create Music, and now he is El Presidente of one of the coolest cutting-edge labels that has 4Batz, SAILORR, which is rising my album the year ranks, and now recent XXL freshman Ian, and he's helped get 3 of the last 4 XXL freshmen on there with 4Batz and Saucy, Santana. Malik, welcome to the show.
Wow, that was a great intro. I appreciate it.
We gotta hype you up, and it's quite easy to hype you up with those accolades at also a young age. So we're here to flex for you.
I appreciate it.
So what does an accomplishment like a XXL freshman mean to you? Obviously, there's been debate over the past few years, like where's the cultural impact of the list gone?
Right.
But it's still like a big deal to get it, and it must feel great as the team to do it.
I mean, I always have looked at it as just a dope win, you know? Because while it doesn't necessarily have the hold on the culture that it once did, you know, it's just more so just a good nod to what you've been working on with your team for the last however many months, you know? And it's only but so many of them that get that spot.
Yeah.
And still, I feel like there's still so much that comes from being an XXL freshman. Because, you know, it's only about, 10? 10 of them that actually get to make the list per year. So being able to do that 3 out of 4 3 years is really dope. It's really dope.
And I think just from like a historical standpoint, it's cool that XXL has this kind of like museum of the past 15 years of like who was rising at that time. And it's cool to see like, oh, Freddie Gibbs was with J. Cole, but it didn't pop off, quote unquote, till like 6 years later. And you're like, whoa, he was in the same class as him?
Yeah, it's dope. It's like you said, it's like a time capsule, if you will. And just to be able to look back years later and be like, wow, like during this time period, you were able to do this and this and that. And just, again, like just seeing who's coming around in that time period. It's just dope to see.
So I'm so curious about your background because obviously you're very young and you're president of an incredible record label. So you started at Morehouse College and you had a really sick story, I know, about leaving college and going back to college.
Yeah.
But how does someone like you, because a lot of people out there like me who want to get to that point one day, what were the steps?
I mean, for me, really, honestly speaking, I attribute the entrance into the music industry is really just a lot of grit, determination, to be honest with you. You know, I grew up in Baltimore. That's where I'm from, born and raised. And from the time that I was 16, I had made up in my mind I wanted to start my own record label, you know? And I did start one. I just didn't necessarily know what I was doing at all. You know,
was there an inspiration for this dream? Was there someone you were looking at like that's a label I want to make?
Really just kind of growing up in the culture, just kind of seeing record labels as a whole. But really, I always like had a knack for entrepreneurship. You know, I also I feel like at an early age I kind of realized like I'm pretty good at like identifying talent.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like I would just be on Spinrilla and by accident find an artist and then I see them blow up like 6 months later. And at the time, I didn't know what that was, but I would continuously like have that happen. And somebody told me along the way, like, "Hey, there's a job for that." And like from that moment forward, I'm like, "Wow, this might be what I really want to do." But I didn't really. There wasn't a scene or a space in the music industry in Baltimore, so I knew that in order to really make it happen, I had to go to Atlanta. And so I went to college at Morehouse, really like 100% just to pursue my dreams in the music industry. And that's kind of really how I got started, by moving to Atlanta and just being able to take advantage of being at the time it was, my freshman year was 2016.
Okay,
and,
great year for music.
That was I want to say like one of the best years that I can remember for music, and especially in Atlanta at the time. It was just right place, right time.
Yeah.
And I was just able to just take advantage, But
as music fans, we all get very cocky when we find someone earlier than everyone else, and that clearly was a part of your job. For me, and clearly you found SAILORR too. I'm like, I saw SAILORR in the Scent album, and she had one song out at the time, and I'm like, yes, like this person's fucking awesome. And what are some people at this time around 2016 that you're finding that you're like can look back on and be like,
you won't believe this, I promise you, but I have the tweet. Like, you could actually like search on my Twitter account. I remember distinctly typing, I found this guy named Juice WRLD. He's really cool. Y'all should check him out. I feel like he's gonna be dope. But like seeing that text, that tweet, and also Yeat. I have another tweet that I had tweeted, like where I found Yeat at around that time. I think it was like 2017. And I used to run this page called The Tastemakers. On Instagram, and I found Doechii there too. Like right when she put out, I think it's called Icky Blicky. Freestyle. There's a couple on there. Honcho. I found really early. I was excited about. And Sofago as well. That was another one.
And what I mean, obviously it's gonna be different for each of these people, but like, what was it about them? Was it like your inherent business entrepreneurship? Like, oh, there's on top of good music, there's a marketing thing here, or was it music purely related?
For me first, as much as like I do marketing, I feel like music has always been the driving factor with me. Like, I think it starts with the music.
As it should.
It has to start with the music. So each one of those artists, if I were to close my eyes, I feel like I would have said, nah, I really like this person. No matter what. So it started with the music for sure, but I want to say, especially with Doechii, when I saw the visual of it, I said, this is going to go as soon as I saw it.
I saw her on that the Colors show. She did Stressed, and I was like a junior in college, and it's one of those songs you send to everyone. You go, this is the person.
Exactly.
So it's cool. I have friends who I sent Alligator Bites the day it came out, and they text me now, and they're like, that was a good call. I'm like, I know.
Nah, so it was definitely music first, though. Music first for sure. And actually, just to back up a little bit, I forgot, prior to my freshman year in college, I was interning at a record label called D1 Entertainment that's based in Baltimore, and I was able to work with Shordie when he put out his project Captain Hook, and he had a song Obituary on there, and that was my first time really getting a chance to work in the marketing side of music and putting together a rollout and things of that nature.
And to get into BuVision, where you've risen the ranks, how do you get to that point of the career?
I mean, so from there, I went to Atlanta, and me and two of my very, very close friends, we started an organization at Morehouse called AUC Who Got Next, and that was really like our version of creating an internship at the time, because I didn't really know anybody in Atlanta. Especially anybody in the music industry. But I did know that the AUC which is the combination of Spelman, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Morris Brown, is known for having music industry executives come out of the AUC. And also, I just felt like, what are the odds of having the odds of finding talent in the AUC was very high. Just because it's, 4 HBCU schools, there has to be some sort of creative. So we basically created a creative agency where we would take photographers, videographers, and the artists that also were at our school, and we put on events for them. We would put on events and we would market those events. So we had like open mics, we had freestyle ciphers, we had DJ battles, and we kind of started to grow this thing out to panels. We started doing panels where we would bring music executives and we would like research them, contact them, let them know what we're doing, and we would host panels with them, and we would also do meet and greets with artists. We would like do our research and see who's coming to Atlanta to perform. We would try to find their manager, DM them. So kind of slowly through that process, we started to build small relationships, like it wasn't anything crazy because we're still just college kids at the time, but that was like our first time getting our foot in the door. And there was one person in particular, her name's China, who I actually went to school with. She was a moderator for one of our panels, and she happened to be the executive assistant of somebody at Streamcut named Quinn. So, because we built a rapport through my organization, she was able to recommend me for an internship role there. And me, I just always had a philosophy that if I could get my foot in the door, I could find a way to get a job.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I did. So that was right around, had to be about 2017, 2018. And this is when TikTok really started to become a thing. Like, it existed in an earlier form, but it wasn't necessarily a thing. And, my first assignment when I got to Streamcut, they had all the interns get in a room and they gave us an assignment to build a page to get your TikTok, to get a TikTok page to 1,000 followers. And they would give like the winner like $100. And I didn't really care about the $100. I mean, like, it was definitely helpful being a broke college student. But I knew at that point in time that there was a real need for them to figure out TikTok. At the time, I didn't really care about TikTok. I didn't know too much about it because it was so new. Like, I would hear about it, but, it had that stigma of, like, that dance app. So I didn't really care about it until I got to the internship. But, like, something just clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, they don't know how to do this. And it's clearly something that they feel like they need. And I just felt like, I wanted to get a job in the music industry so bad that I was just like, I'm going to fill the need of being the TikTok guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're always looking for the younger kids to understand everything and know stuff.
Because there were like two lawyers, who've had a lot of success in the music industry, but in terms of the tech side and the upcoming stuff, they were really clueless.
It's like they learned Instagram. They were like, that should be it. I should be
done. Yeah, that was it. Now, really, it was YouTube. YouTube was their thing.
Okay,
yeah. They made a killing off YouTube, and then it switched to TikTok. But so we had that competition, and everybody else was just making videos of their own and things of that nature, and I was just like, and it sounds like obvious or common sense now, but like I was like, I'm gonna do a sports page because I don't feel like me personally I'm that interesting of a person for people to want to follow me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I know if I were to see a sports highlights, I would stop and see that. So I did it. I did a sports highlight page, and I call it Highlight House or something like that. Like a similar name to like House of Highlight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I just like, and this is just a lot of. I feel like it's like common sense stuff, but I was just trying to do anything to like bring attention to my page and like play off of familiarity, if you will.
That's a thing with marketing that sometimes it's hard to take yourself outside your shoes and be like, wait, what do I actually watch? Like I've even been guilty of that on this podcast where I was having episodes where I'm like, would I even watch my own episode? Like, was this even that interesting? So for you to have that hindsight of like, oh, like I like sport, like people like sport videos.
Yeah.
They're not looking to do me. And like that's a smart outlook on it.
And you know what? To that point, I feel like that's one of the biggest things in marketing, just in general. Like, you have to have that wherewithal just to look at things from the lens of a consumer, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of times people, like, pursue marketing with ego, if you will. Like, this is what I want to show them, so I'm going to show them to them like this. As opposed to, like, looking at it from the outside, looking in, and it's like, you just got to put yourself in the shoes of the person that's consuming the content.
Because we all know what we do on TikTok. We all skip so fast. You get 3 seconds to make a point. It's like I'm watching my own videos. I'm like, this first 3 seconds wasn't that good. Like, what did I think was going to happen?
Exactly. And those small details, I think, is everything. Those small details are everything. But yeah, anyway, like, you know, I would post TikToks and I would study other pages and I would like try to figure out, like, I would try to reverse engineer. And again, like, this isn't really something that was taught to me. More so just like, I guess, just trying to figure something out and trying to reverse engineer how it worked. And I just realized that consistency was key in terms of building TikToks. If I could just post like 50 TikTok videos of sports and incorporate trending sounds, eventually one video would catch. And I was able to get 1,000 followers on that page within 1 or 2 weeks of the contest, while everybody else was still struggling to get to 60, doing whatever it is that they were doing. So I won that contest, and I was able to put myself on a radar of the company at the time. And from there, I just kept trying to find ways to insert myself into the room. It then became fan pages. You know, like we got to a point where we realized TikTok is a thing at this point, but our artists didn't really care about TikTok. Like, you know, Saucy Santana, one being the artist that was who I was working with the most. And at the time, he didn't really like TikTok at all. He didn't understand it. And, you know, I remember my boss at the time, he wanted to he wanted to get him into TikTok, but he just wouldn't do it. So he had the idea to create a fan page. And, you know, he'd been mentioning it to the entire company at the time. But me as an intern, I'm like, okay, he keeps saying this. I'm going to just try and make a fan page, finally do it. And I was able to just create that fan page, and I would just post it. And it was pretty easy. I would find clips of him and post, try to create sounds and test different audios. And I was able to grow that page to about 137K.
Wow.
Followers, just over consistency and time and that nature.
It's a smart idea because I've noticed like Lexa Gates, like the rapper from New York, she has a TikTok page called Lexa Gates fan page that I don't know if she runs it. It could be her label. It could be a random fan. Right. No clue. But it does very well. And
and you know, idea. like with fan pages in general, I mean, I'm a huge fan of fan pages just because, one, if you ever go to a fan page's comments, it's such an interesting thing. Most people think it's the actual artist. They're like, "Hey, I love the new song you just dropped," and I'm like, it clearly says like Saucy Santana fan, but But it just made me realize it's like most people are just scrolling, so they're not really looking to see it,
that's it,
like
yeah.
what's the account. So it's really like if it didn't reach them from the artist account, you can reach them from the fan account. But it also allows you to post a lot more content that you probably wouldn't post as an artist.
Yeah.
Or
It's kind of like a Finsta. It's like in a
exact-
weird way.
Exactly. So, but yeah, like I was able to build fan pages, and from there they gave me the job at Streamcut, and I was able to just continue to build with Saucy, Santana, and we had a couple records that went pretty well, went pretty viral on TikTok, and that was like my first time getting into the game of, I guess, working there. Whole time I wanted to be an A&R, like that was always my thing, but I'd always get pulled in the direction of marketing because no one would like believe in my ear enough for me to get something signed. But fast forward, I left Streamcut and I went to an agency, a TikTok agency based in LA called Vertical, and I served as the content, the head of content there. So I work with different artists and I help suggest different content for them to build. And this is when I really started to understand where music was hitting. I'd say this is after COVID, so like 2021-ish, 2022. But I realized like there was it was just shifting from artists posting on their own. I mean, artists like paying influencers to post 30 times, because that was like the thing, like TikTok campaigns, and of course they still exist today. But you got such a high return on investment at one time, and it's like it started to get watered down, and now you see that a lot of artists lead first with their content. And I just started to learn that game, and I feel like the labels started to learn that game as well. I worked with a couple different labels, and at that head of content role, they were introducing content departments, specifically focusing on short form and things of that nature. So I think having those two lines of thought, like the short form content creation side and the TikTok side, allowed me to really get a full grasp of understanding when it came time to transition into BuVision. One of the artists that we were working on at Vertical was actually one of Boo's artists at the time, and that's how I ended up meeting Boo. Okay. He lives in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. Vertical is a remote job, so we just happened to meet because we were working on artists, and we would go back and forth just about the music industry as a whole, and it just felt like a really good fit. So we just kind of grew into a partnership, and I shifted over to BuVision and worked full time. So a lot of different ups and downs that led me to BuVision, but definitely a great experience, and I'm glad I was able to find my way over here.
Yeah, and I saw an interesting clip the other week. I'm sure you've probably seen it with Pink Pantheress, and she was talking about how she's like, I gotta be honest, artists, like it's obviously the music, but you also have to have like a branding, like a story to yourself. And I'm gonna go out of order here because I'm gonna start with SAILOR. But I'm so curious what you look for into an artist to sign them to your label, and how much actual like work goes into like this background scenes of like raising her up, because she has. I talked about this in the video that you quote tweeted, that each of these three artists have such a unique thing to them, whether it's 4Batz with the shiesty and like a different voice than you were expecting it to sound. A common theme in all their marketing was like the on the block freestyle was very important to each of them. And SAILOR with her grills, and Ian with like the family and kind of embracing the humor of like his music doesn't match, similar to 4Batz, doesn't match with it. But taking SAILOR specifically here, what was something you guys noticed? How do you even find her for the rising artist who's looking like, how does a label even get to me?
Like with SAILOR specifically, oftentimes in the music industry, I feel like a lot of labels are chasing after the same artist.
Yeah.
and we've kind of taken a different approach. Like, it's a lot easier to sign an artist that's having viral success immediately, just because it's a better proof of concept. You have a proof of concept that is working, and you can take that proof of concept and then build it into something that's real. But like I said, there's a lot of competition in that because it's working, and that's ultimately the goal. Whether your music taste tells you that you don't like it or dislike it, if there's something that's working, it's easy to make it work at a larger scale. But we kind of took a different approach with Ian, SAILORR, and BuVision. You know, like, really we found them at 1,000 followers. And, I mean, what stood out to them was the talent. Before there was a brand identity to really fully go off of, the talent came first. And you know, like, with what we do, a lot of marketing goes into you know, figuring out like how to make it come together. But I think the ultimate superpower is the music, you know, because there's different elements that they have that we provide, but I think the talent allows it to stick, if that makes sense. You can't, like, you can have a moment, and I've seen it countless times just scrolling on the internet. There's a viral moment, and it's just that. It's here today and gone within a week. If it lasted a week, if it was longer than a day. But when there's true talent behind it, I look at it as like a, what do you call it? The tip of an iceberg, if you will. You know, like it's just an introduction to the world. That viral moment, but the talent allows them to stay a lot longer. So, you know, with SAILORR specifically, Boo, he found her, and you know, I remember him showing her to me. I never saw what she looked like at the time. Just playing the music. He had a couple of her demos, and we were sitting in the car playing them over and over. At the time, it was the song Down Bad. I want to say it wasn't Down Bad. No, it was Down Bad. Down Bad. That was my favorite song at the time that we had.
Incredible
that was
song.
That was a demo. Pookie's Requiem. She had Down Bad, Pookie's Requiem, and Will You Lie as a part of that demo package that we're playing. So I remember listening to the music, and I'm like,
Will You Lie is currently stuck in my head.
You know, like, those songs are incredible. So before we even got a chance to see what it is, you know, it started with the talent. And we just kind of, you know, took our bets on the fact that we could take the talent and then, you know, do what we needed to do to get her to where she is.
And I was in the comment sections fighting for you guys because I was having this, we'll say, cordial debate on my TikTok regarding, I mean, it's impressive when each of your artists are called industry plants. That means the record label is doing something right because you guys are utilizing your materials. And people are saying in the comment section, they're like, yeah, she's just another one-hit wonder. I'm like, well, Ian's on a sold-out tour right now, and SAILORR's on a sold-out tour right now. And people complain when these one-hit wonder artists jump on like a major tour, major festival stage, and you're like, wait, they've never performed before. And now we're seeing someone who's starting at the bottom, as they should. Like this, I saw Tommy Richmond recently in like a 1,500 venue, and like that's the way to build a fan base. So I'm like, you think she's a one-hit wonder? There's fans, there's people paying money to see her. It's real.
You know, whether the venue was 500 or, you know, like you said, 1,500. I think just seeing people spend their hard-earned money, like in a recession, it's a true indicator of, you know, that is sticking. It's not just a moment. Like, there's a real cult, and specifically with SAILORR at this current moment. You know, like, I just was at her LA show a couple of days ago. And just going by walking by the line, just seeing everybody wear their pink bow and their SAILORR outfit, Like you can really see that, like she's building something that's really sticking and resonating with people,
And we talked about this on the episode where we discussed a bunch of marketing rollouts. And one of the easiest marketing things you can do is like each album having a character, like a look to it, where Tyler, the Creator, is a master of that, where each album has a look.
Incredible.
And obviously SAILORR has this look that it's the bow tie, it's the teeth. And I think it's cool when people dress up like the artist and go to the concert and like each one has like a vibe to it.
Right. Nah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Go on. I was going to say, I saw a TikTok where a stupid person was complaining about the SAILORR show because she had like 4 plastic chairs and was doing skits in between. And when I saw that, I'm like, that's awesome. Like that's the fun part of shows is like, how can an artist with maybe not the biggest budget yet, like what do you think she's going to have? Like LED big screens? Like this isn't a J. Cole or a Kendrick Lamar SZA show. Like, so for
you know what? It's dope to just, like you said, like be able to, I love how SAILORR's career is unfolding. Same with BuVision and same with Ian, because I feel like the internet got to watch them almost at their inception.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not like again, they already had a viral moment and then we signed them. Like, when the world saw them for the first time, they saw her for the first time. So they're able to see her at her babyest stage. This is her putting together an amazing show without the biggest budget on a tour, but giving your full and your all, putting together these dope, amazing skits that are cohesive and connect with the project and its theme. It just creates a wonder of like, wow, I wonder how it's going to look when she gets into those bigger rooms, into those bigger things. And I think that's dope too. For fans.
I saw you tweeted, I feel like a lot of artists don't take pride in giving a good show to the point where most kids don't even know what a good show looks like. I was watching a clip the other day of Run DMC, and it's like, back then, these guys were great performers. Like the way they interact with their crowd, and I think Doechii's bringing that back with her amazing DJ that she rocks back and forth. So is coaching a live show a big thing for you guys that you have to like instill in the artist?
1,000,000%. It's all a part of the fan building experience. Yeah. I think one thing that we've been really, really, really big on is just really working on fan building, and just giving fans experiences, because that's who you're doing it for. You're doing it for the fans. Yeah. So putting effort, time, and energy into your live show is really, really, really crucial for us to sell the artists, because I want them to connect and resonate with the music on a deeper level, be able to go back and listen to it and now think about the show and the amazing performance that you gave. So that's really important for sure.
Yeah. I've been won over by an artist. When Jordan Ward opened for JID and Smino, I went back to my house. He was one of the best performers I've seen in hip-hop, and I hear the album for Ward, and I send it to everyone I know, and like that one concert made me a fan for life. Like it literally won me over, and it's like there's so much power in that good show.
No, I agree 100%.
And then also I know SAILORR did like the Instagram Live where fans gave like their relationships issues, and like you're hearing like your favorite artist talk it out, and like those are the things in the blog era and growing up made me the biggest fan of the artist I loved.
Yeah, she's really good at interacting with her fans in general, like in the comments. Like I think her team as a whole does a really good job. Like there's a lot of fans that we know on a first name basis, Like there was one fan that couldn't get tickets, and we just went out of our way to make sure that we could get them to the show for them to be able to see her and then give her a gift after. Just because those small little interactions make you a fan for life of somebody. And like,
for real.
It feels small, but if you can impact people's lives at scale, like it's going to turn into a real core audience. And doing something with an artist at that stage is everything.
And I've said this on the show before, but when I was like 14, I think I tweeted to Logic, I'm like, it's my birthday, and he wished me a happy birthday back. And like that simple tweet to him, he has no idea what that did to me. I bought show tickets, I bought merch. That's money in his pocket from just tweeting happy birthday at him.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. What I've noticed is in music in 2025, I've never seen it. Uh, I've never seen a time where it can just be gone in really a year. Like, like I remember when artists would break and you knew they had at least at least a 3-year window of relevancy. It feels like now an artist is here today, gone next week.
I saw a tweet about that just before this about big pop singles. You're like, I feel like a pop single back in the day was like a 4-year runtime. Yeah. And like now it's like Espresso. In 2 years, will we be still playing Espresso? Like probably not.
And that's pop. Imagine like what it is in other genres. It's the window for what's happening is so short. So.
And I was going through SAILORR's TikTok the other night and like how funny she naturally is with her own humor. And Ian's also been big on that. Like he clearly is a funny guy, enjoys making skits, and like he has the album cover that's the recreation of the famous meme. So how much is that you guys leaning into the branding of that? And like you understand like the music's different than what the portrayal is, and that's part of the marketing of it. How much of that is his humor naturally and what he wants to do artistically, and also the label being like could be a good way to market him?
I mean, look, I'm gonna say this: being a marketer, I feel like you can only go as far as the artist goes. Yeah. Like especially working with artists, it's hard to get artists to do anything that they don't want to do. Especially leaning into or being someone that they're not. Yeah. And I think just overall, like going into a plan with an artist, like for me personally, I like to kind of look at what I like consider their superpowers, if you will. And like when I say superpowers, it's just their comparative advantage. What would make me want to stop and listen or look at this person versus another person? Because on the internet,
it's a lot of fish in the sea.
Yes, it's a lot of people. Much shit going on. And by the way, music is the smallest part of it. Like you're competing with Love Island every night. You're competing with Kai Cenat, DDG, and every other viral thing that's happening. And then it's an artist like, hey, can you listen to my? It's just tough to get people's attention. So leaning into what their specific strengths are as just a human being that makes them interesting is really like one of the biggest things that I feel like we put pride into. And with them specifically, Ian and SAILORR, I think their humor is like just naturally apparent. Like, they get the internet, they have humor, and that's something that, we really followed their lead on. Of course, understanding who they are, there may be suggestions that we may give, but it's always, taking the artist's lead, letting them guide the film. Just they kind of like have the canvas and you just kind of help paint with them, if you will. Yeah. But definitely the artist of this shit.
What was the superpower for Ian that you guys noticed before signing him that maybe made you be like, all right, we got to get this kid?
Ian just was...
Because he's young.
Say that again?
He's young compared to, like, I have no clue how old SAILORR is in the top of my head, but I know he's 19 or 20. Like, he's a young kid.
He just turned 20. But, I mean, Ian just... I feel like I never saw... Personally, like, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen artists like him. I think, too, it's interesting to get different perspectives of the world,
That's the part of hip-hop that's the best. That's the fun part about hip-hop.
Like getting people's perspective. Because it's like me as a black man in rap. I haven't seen a white person that, like we've seen different stories and different variations of white rappers. I haven't seen Ian's variation of being a white rapper. Yeah. Like Ian to me feels like just the everyday, white kid that just went to college and you know, played sports. He played rugby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what he feels like. I haven't personally seen that perspective of rap. And like, what does that look like? What does that look like in the world? What is his perspective on music? You get what I'm saying?
And I'll say, like, from my perspective, obviously, white guy, when I listen to his music, like, it's like make me feel cool music, similar to like when I play Brent Faiyaz. I just feel like cooler when I listen to Brent Faiyaz. Like, Ian has hard lines over hard beats, and I don't think he's really necessarily talking about anything he's not living / is different from other hip hop artists like women, money, drugs. Like it's all talked about normally. So I feel like when a white guy's not rapping on a boom bap beat, it's like, wait, what's going on here?
Whoa. Yeah, no, exactly. But I'd
Mac
say
Miller
that
behind me. People like Mac Miller has an interesting story of. There's a Danny Brown quote from like 2011. He's like, I hate that guy. He makes shitty music. And now it's easy to look at Mac Miller like, oh, he was a lover of the culture and he was an amazing artist. And like, it took time for him to evolve into that from the frat rapper who started.
Yeah, things just take time. I think that's what it really is. And, you know, it's our job and his job to, you know, be cautious in the space and, you know, understand their place in the spaces of music that they're making. But, you know, it just takes time. You know, I feel like with Ian, and just in general, I think it's easy to... I don't think we as a culture, meaning, you know, black culture, really realize how big rappers gotten. You know what I mean?
No, for
sure.
sure.
I feel like at a time, and probably like even older than me, you know, there was a time where as a white person you could maybe like indulge in rap, but it might not have been the thing that you grew up on, you're raised on.
Yeah.
You know, Ian specifically, and I can't speak for every white person, like that's really what he grew up listening to. You know what I mean?
He's 20, I'm 24, and it's all I've known. It's
like
been the most popular thing since I was born.
You know, rap is one of the biggest genres in the world, you know, if not the biggest. And it's rap is the new pop. Like rap is popular music. Agreed, at this point. And I feel like Ian is just a microcosm of rap being popular music. And, you know, growing up, listening to rap his whole life, and then starting as a producer, being inspired by the Atlanta trap sound, I feel like to then become a rapper, that's just kind of the sound that came out. And I feel like it may feel off-putting at first because of how he looks. It just feels like you're not supposed to rap like that. But I mean,
the bars are hard. The bars are hard once you actually listen to it and you're like, oh, this shit's cool.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, like coming from that stance, I don't think you're really taking the time to really sit with what he's saying and those things. But, you know, he just got to keep making music and proving himself. That's all.
And I want to end by talking about the first artist, 4Batz, who is like a huge... This video is just like, whoa, what is happening? This is not what I expected to sound like. And it ends up getting a Drake feature on it. Tell me about that moment when something you guys planned works out to that extent.
Nah, man, bro, that's what you do it for. Like, things like that is what you do this for. And, you know, like that moment, that song and that video specifically going as viral as it did, you know, it's really dope. It's really dope, like, for lack of better words, just to see how far it went just off of just trying to execute, do something a little bit different. But yeah.
And what does the pairing now with like Atlantic and having like a major behind you guys, what does that allow you guys to do with your artists, whether it's marketing or tours or anything that wasn't being able to be done as much before with a lower budget maybe?
I mean, it's really just about I wouldn't say it's just finding a good partner to just reach into different areas. You know, we were able to do a lot of this just as it is, but adding experience, adding relationships, adding resources always just helps to extend what we're doing with the overall goal. So
Yeah.
I've definitely been excited about our partnership with Atlantic.
And for the rising artists who are hopefully watching this right now, that I love talking about, and there's so many amazing people out there. But like we
Right.
said, there's so many fish in the sea, and you're kind of competing for just space on anyone's phone. What
Right.
have you noticed that you look for an artist, or maybe artists could double down on that they're not thinking of?
I mean, I'm always. I'd say like the most important things would be one, making good music, and it sounds very cliche,
Yeah.
but I really am a firm believer that like the cream rises to the top,
Yeah.
and we're in a drought for good music. So if you're making truly good music, that's really the first step to make good music. In terms of the other things that are important, consistency is key. It's hard for you to be looked at or be taken seriously as an artist, an upcoming artist, if you're not consistent. You're putting music out
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and for multiple reasons, not just because of it makes me feel like you're not taking it seriously, but imagine being an upcoming artist. You drop one song at minimum every month. That's 12 songs in a month. That's 12 different opportunities that you're giving yourself to be seen. Well, and I'll break it down even further, because say you drop one song a month. There's 30 days in a month. You promote each song for 30 days. You know, there's a whole year worth of content. You're giving yourself 365 chances to be seen.
Yeah.
And that just increases your odds. And that's if you post just once a day.
Yeah, my brothers refer to that to me as spreading your luck surface area, because everyone thinks everything's luck, and like luck does occur, but for luck to occur, you have to put yourself in the place for that luck to occur, which is posting it. It's never gonna hit if you don't post it.
Exactly. And then I say the third thing, and this is where the marketing comes in, it's just to be different. And really, you have to be different. If you look at the three artists that we discussed specifically, I feel like all three artists, why they cut through, because they introduced a unique perspective on what we're used to. Mm-hmm. And that really means everything. And I feel like we try really hard to think of unique, interesting, innovative ways to do things, to package music, to release music, to market music. We spend a lot of time trying to find ways to be different, you know. And I feel like it can be a little bit scary to do something different, because you're afraid that you might be judged, or it might not land correctly. But I just feel like if you find yourself doing the same thing as everybody else, it's just going to make it that much harder to cut through. And that's the ultimate goal, is to cut through. If you can cut through, you have a real chance of being able to do something. But if you can't ever cut through, it doesn't matter how talented you are. It's just how the chips stacked against you.
Yeah. Well, Malik. Oh, keep going.
Yeah. Nah, that's really it.
No, because I love that, and I think that's important for artists to know and understand. It goes back to what we were saying before, that stepping outside your own mind, because like you love your own music, obviously, and thinking like, oh, if I saw this on my TikTok page, would I swipe past it, or would I actually stay to watch it? And a lot of your artists have things that you're like are just captivating right from that 1 second hook that you need.
Yeah. Nah, that's the goal. That's the goal.
So I want to give you a little spot right now to shout out whether anything BuVision has going on, anything the specific artist, or you want to shout out, and where people can find you guys.
Working on Ian's newest project. I'm excited for that to drop soon. They just put out a song called Shut It Down. SAILORR's tour. I mean, we just finished the U.S. leg. She's about to do her UK tour date. And, you know, we're working on a lot of dope new music with her. Wrapping up 4Batz's project. We just did that today. So, yeah, just excited about what we have to come. You know, the first step is to break an artist, but it's really about being consistent and continuously pouring in once you have people's attention. So that's what we've been really focused on. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Tastemaker _.
That's right, yeah.
And I believe it's _Black 40 on Twitter. And then you can follow us on BuVision at BuVision on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But yeah.
I'm sad there was no Philly show on that tour because I need to see Sincerity live, and it will happen at some point in my life.
Look, she gonna spin the block, but we wanted to just go about it, just make sure that there was a demand, fill out the demand for the show, and I'm excited to see how that grows with her next show.
Man,
next tour.
She says it on Bitches Brew that she's like, "Sailor, why the words you say they always sound so sticky," and it's true. Like every chorus on the album.
Right.
I know what each song is. Like I know how to dissect them because that's that chorus. That's that chorus.
You're a real Sailor fan, for real.
I understand. I was gonna wear a retainer and dye black for this, but I didn't know how. I'm like, I don't even know how she did it, so I'm not gonna ruin my retainer and go back to my orthodontics for that.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
Well, if you guys made it to the end of the episode, I hope you enjoy. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Adam-DASH, _, and SoundCentric Music on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all the sites. Weekly newsletter coming out every week where it ranges from me giving just a take on hip hop, whether it's about marketing rollouts or what are my top 5 intros of the year that I just put out recently. And more interviews like this. This was one of my favorite ones yet. I was interested in seeing how this amazing label has come and looked for artists. So Malik, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, bro.
You made it to the end of the episode. I love you. We'll see you next time. Peace.